Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a new stream. Before we start completely, I'm gonna check whether everything works. I got my coffee, YouTube is getting content, Twitch is getting content, and that's great. So yeah, we're streaming both on Twitch and YouTube again. I think I want to continue with that. I'm a bit late today. Sorry for that. It's gonna be an hour stream or something like that, and hopefully we can continue on Wednesday and on Friday. I talked last stream about practicing with 3D. I'm still planning on doing that, definitely. But probably not this week because today I was very late, and I don't want to sort of miss the opportunity to get a decent painting going. I actually am going to copy the designs here. I was planning on doing with line drawings. So let's merge the line drawings with and quickly copy it to this page. We don't need to save that. And we're gonna keep those around as reference. Does that work? I think it's better to just open them in a separate window. Where is it? There. Not sure where I can put this window. I'm gonna put it over my recording, little recording area. I don't need to see that necessarily. Although I sometimes use it as a sort of a zoomed out view for my paintings. It sometimes is a good idea to zoom out your painting to see whether it works or not. And the recording screen is a good way for that. I'm gonna scroll this down. You can't see that because that's the second screen. I got my references set up, and now we're gonna sketch the paintings. I don't really have any IEDs yet. Maybe I'm gonna set up some what's it called? Some grids, some perspective grids for the paintings. I don't know yet. I kind of want to make them a couple of scenes, sort of more, maybe more like a fighter scene with the fighter jet design that we did. Not the jet, the fighter ship. It's probably the better word. It's sort of equivalent of a fighter jet. Where it's maybe it's getting chased or it's chasing something, or maybe they're flying in the two of them flying in a formation, something like that, with a lot of speed. Maybe some mountains in the background, stuff like that. Just sort of the generic chase scene, something like that. I'm not sure if I really like the perspective on this one. I would like it to be a little bit more dramatic, so I'm gonna cut this bit out of it. I didn't necessarily have to cut it. Maybe sort of make a little bit more dramatic perspective-wise. And maybe this one can be a little bit forward, and there is some guys swooping down on him and shooting, something like that. And then the ground is all getting impact on the ground and stuff like that. Maybe I would we're gonna go for really quick exploration sketches, and from there on, we're gonna gradually make them look more like how they are supposed to be. Let's change our eraser to a one. Can erase better. And gonna try to sort of follow the design that we had in the sketches. So it's the little gun. We can erase this one. It's a little bit too big. I think the cockpit is a little bit too big, and we have this gun on top. Something like that. It's just to the background and stuff, I'm not sure yet. I was thinking mountains, but maybe we can make it a city chase scene. We definitely need to figure out a design for this one. We could grab a design that we already have. But I kinda the designs that we created are sort of all quite similar, so they feel like they belong to the same faction. So maybe we change that design of the guy that's chasing and make it. I'm not sure whether we're gonna go with that yet, because we want the focus to be on the on this thing. Gonna go with a little cockpit to do sitting next to each other. Maybe there's a third one in the back, something like that. So this is a really rough sketch. We're probably gonna refine it later. I kind of want to go with a view from the back with one of these. With the big one. Although that's probably gonna be quite difficult, all the shortening and stuff like that. But the cool thing is we have sort of the design, so we don't have to really worry about the design. We can just worry about putting it in 3D. Of course, there are some things that are not necessarily very clear in the design, but because it's my own design, I can, and you see that in art studios as well. Sometimes if you put something, a brushstrokes that at a certain spot, someone interprets it at a as something different. A really cool example, I know this because there's a really cool example of the Lord of the Rings, the Minas Tirith concept art. There was sort of this generic store kind of house front, storefront, and where just these little brush strokes sort of dangling from the roof, and one of the prop guys sort of interpreted that as rats, and they made a rat catcher's office, or not office, a rat catcher. They made that into the home of the rat catcher, which is actually quite believable because rats spread diseases and things like that. So you kind of want to get rid of them. So yeah, not sure how I'm gonna do this. But something with the tail, and then there is the thrusters are in the tail end, and then we have these side sort of thrusters, sort of reinterpret it. I don't know. I'm reinventing the design. Probably a way to say it. But the thing is, what do we want to do? Do we have a sort of a planet in the background, or do we have a docking station in the background with the nice little mountains outside there, and this is sort of a huge dock thing where the ship just departs from? Could be. I feel that the ship doesn't take enough space in this sketch. We want the emphasis to be on the ships, the focus, and not necessarily on the, well, we could do with a couple of environmental sort of sketches thingies, but I don't want to have the focus on the ships. Not sure what I'm scribbling here. No, now. I did sort of designs like this earlier, where we have sort of this docking bay, and I think I'm gonna go with a quite dramatic angle on the ship. Not, of course, not exactly copying the design. We're merely following the design, so we don't have to sort of invent the entire thing on our own, but sometimes a couple of things may be off. That's okay, I think. We want these guns to be hanging a little bit lower. But in the meantime, we also want to keep the strong perspective on this one. Maybe this one is a sort of floating some streets, people watching on. Maybe it is some sort of a parade. As you can see, the sketches are getting looser, but I feel also more dynamic. The longer we sketch, so we'll probably end up sort of deleting the first two sketches and start with new ones. Because sometimes it takes a little while to get into the flow of things, and once you have it, it's easier to create those sketches. Let's actually get this from the design. Go. Something like that. Take a sip of coffee. And now what do we want to do? Maybe a real close up of one of the ships. Maybe a little bit too much, but the fighter one. Not sure if we're gonna keep this. Sort of the middle. No, this is not working. I think I'm gonna try to sort of redo the chase scene from the. I've selected some area somewhere. From from this one, but a little bit different. Maybe I can try to create an angle, sort of on the ship, but it's banking away from us. That's actually probably quite a challenging sketch to make. Um, so then we have that thruster there, and we get the thruster here. Got the gun over there, we just barely see that. I don't know if it really reached as a canvas, as it banking away from us. I think the lines really work here. Maybe I shouldn't worry too much about. I don't know. I should loosen up. I'm too stiff. I'm too nervous, and my confidence isn't there yet. With this one, it's there because it kind of worked, and it felt good. The problem is it also brings in more pressure to sort of be able to reproduce that amount of that type of quality. So I'm not sure what to do now. I don't want to be too generic with my my sketches. But now I'm just kind of scribbling away and see if we can come up with something. Maybe we just have a low point of view, and then into there is the ship, the fighter one, or exploring vessel. It's over here. So there we go. Well, we can change the design if we want to, because why not? We're gonna follow the design language somewhat, but maybe it has landed in this. Yeah, we want to integrate it a little bit better into the landscape. So maybe there's this big stuff or something. You have to figure out some sort of a landing gear for this thing. We thought about that with the designing in mind, but it's okay because usually they're designed to fly, not to. It's a sort of a secondary thing to worry about. So we want this this back be sort of recognizable as that, and then we can sort of follow the line that we have here. And there's probably some sort of a landing gear option here, thingy. And maybe it just lands on its belly in the back. Who knows? And then we have this sort of wing thingy. back here. We have to get this line going that's going up, and then there's this engine thing. Wing is sort of folding like that. I think we need to move the engine a little bit further forward. So there's the engine. Something like that. Sketch still looks like... just looks bad. I would almost copy just the design in, because I wanted to... I think I could do that if I were to... the layer is locked. But then again, I can copy it, and we can change this, because this is not yet. I kind of want it to be a little bit bigger, a little bit more pronounced. I don't want the marquee tool, brush tool. I want it to be here. Want it to have the gun. I don't necessarily entirely want to follow the design, but I want this sort of... I really like the flowing line going up, sort of, and then into this thing, whether it's an intake or an engine. It is the intake for the engine, and then the wing that sort of folds. Sort of. I really like that design. I don't think the I think this should be the gun. So the cockpit needs to be somewhere here. Then we have this thingy, and then this goes up into a gun. And now it really feels flat. I don't know. I want this to work. We're gonna go with this one, definitely. But because I think it can be a really cool little painting here. These guys sort of stranded. I really like this one as well. Sort of the thing floating through the city. I kind of want to make the city a little bit alien-like, so not too human-like, and then we make this thing a little bit more alien-like as well by adding the texture for it and stuff like that. And the same goes for this one. I think we can keep this one. Maybe we can make this a little bit bigger. Here go. So and if we make this sort of a more alien type of thing, I really think we can make this work. So this is sort of the docking area where it's from. This one, it is straight, but it doesn't really work. We need it to be sort of... Let's just draw the box, and then we can fix that later. So this is sort of the spaceship area. This is the box where the spaceship is, and then this is the landscape. It's just fundamentals that are sort of messing with me, I guess, and trying to maybe I'm trying to be too true to the original design. I don't know. I should try and don't be too scared. Maybe we can make it a little bit more dramatic by of the inlet. I know, it just doesn't feel that cool when you look at it from this angle. Maybe the angle isn't extreme enough and you need to sort of make this the gun. Enlarge the cockpit even further. I think this this works better. A little door or something like that. You don't have to entirely follow the specs, but so yeah, I think this is looking better already with the quite dramatic lines at the top there. Yeah, I really feel like that is it's better. Go. So we finally did it. Yay! Little while. And then we have this these trees and stuff like that. Also one in the background, a really big one, something like that. So they're stranded here or something like that, or they're on a exploration mission, something like that. So yeah, there's a lot of struggles, but I like the result of that one. I think I'm gonna do something now. I really like how I copied that thing and never really merged it and just continued on the same layer. Don't like this one. I like this one. So we're gonna move this one to here. Initially I wanted to sort of make 6 sketches, but I think I'm gonna stick to these 3. I'm gonna crop the image and I'm gonna save it. And now we can continue on improving these a little bit before we wrap up. It's been a very short stream, but that's because I started really late. That was something I initially didn't plan on, but we'll continue on Wednesday, of course. We have some time still, so let's take that time and use that to sort of refine those sketches a little bit. Not sure if I'm gonna add a sort of a second layer with a more refined line drawing, or if I'm just gonna go in this layer and keep refining this what we have already. I usually just go with what I have currently, refine that a little bit, and then quickly go into the painting phase. It is sort of a mangrove type tree thingies. I don't know. So yeah, that's that. I think that's quite a nice one already. This one can use some fine weight and stuff like that. I think I wasn't loose enough with the sketch for this one. Let's try to redo the tail a little bit. Tail end. Ship. Very light pressure on the brush. You see, when I'm nervous, I'm pressing sort of. When you are sort of in the flow, you get this really nice flowing brush strokes, and you're barely pressing, and that way, I know you just your flow is so good. When you're more stressed out, you're sort of pressing harder, and then, well, that's my sort of experience and my how it works for me. So you can obviously see that I was more comfortable with the bottom and the top one when I made those, because brushstrokes are a lot more fine than for the middle one. You need to raise the back up a little bit to sort of counteract the drop off. And we can make the drop a little bit, something more like this. So a little bit interesting shape. Yeah, this sort of tail in the back. Maybe I think I'm converting this to a little bit more alien-like, a more alien-like design, just as I have done with this one. And maybe this is sort of the home species of this planet, the native species, and this is how the planet looks, with the nice little trees, all the sort of bulges, and maybe there's sort of chambers where creatures grow and things like that. I don't know. So the guys, the human type guys, land on this planet, and this is sort of the species that they find. I think that's sort of the story here I want to convey here, and maybe the trees, not necessarily the trees, but those shapes with the domes and things like that are also present in the cities of these guys. They're a little bit organic looking, but we're gonna try to make them look really city-like. So this is some type of gate, and maybe we figure out a way to make this gate-like with some sigil on it, something like that, which is of course kind of transparent. But was sort of a gate symbol kind of thing. So the top one and the middle one are quite fleshed out already. Now the bottom one, which started as the best one, I think, now needs some love. Sort of have the lines. I think this is all architecture that we're gonna put around it, sort of that it maybe it is docked. This one is docked, and there's maybe it's getting ready for its first flights, or a ton of people, or however you want to call them, present, and made it a little bit insect-like. Something like that. Which are watching on. And yeah, it's sort of ready to take its first flight. So then we're gonna be a bunch of people in here. Sort of the gist of it. And this is just architecture like stuff, but not really the way we like. Maybe the way we see it on Earth. Maybe it's sort of like termites. That might be a cool sort of theme in terms of the design of that stuff. So yeah, that sort of sums up the sketches. I think the top one is quite good. I really like the thing that how we ended up with the lines. Not sure about the bottom one. I liked it initially, but I think it can use some love, some work. Maybe we need to make it a little bit more dramatic. So, in terms of perspective, so maybe we can do that by grabbing it and working on it a little bit with the transform tools. I think the top is quite alright, but I don't really like the fact that it is sort of I don't know, it doesn't feel like it is flying, but maybe it is because of this bottom thing here. The initial design was there was quite a lot hanging from the bottom there, but maybe we will change that. Make it look a little bit different. I don't know. I think it can use a little bit of work, but I think this is better than the one we had before. And maybe there is some sort of a pavilion here, or what's the thing? There's sort of the rulers are here, are sitting here, and they're watching on as this thing passes by, and sort of a grand sort of opening type of thing with a lot of flags and banners and things like that. So we're gonna probably have a banner here as well, just to sort of separate and to make it a little bit more interesting. And then we have one here as well. Get some stuff. Just to come up with a more interesting add some info and add some clutter is not really the info, but almost like a little bit of clutter to make it feel more alive, like an actual scene that's actually happening. So it's quite loud, there's music playing, stuff like that. And this is more a more quiet scene where it is where it has taken off and is sort of its first mission. So yeah, that's that's sort of probably it for today. I think I'm gonna delete this and make sort of the ship here, so it is not that big. Try to add some volume to the ship. So yeah, that's sort of it for today. I'm thinking about maybe adding a little bit more color to it. Oh, not color, a little bit of thingy. What's it called? Value to it. Wow, that's talking is hard. Want this brush, or I think I want some texture. So we can just to have some value in the painting, and next time we'll start to add some color and make sort of rough paintings out of them. And at this point, I kind of want to do them all in terms of finishing, but not sure if we can make it in the end. Quite liked it so far. The process. So let's grab the dark still, make it darker, so that we have some variation here in the darkest places. And then gradually, I think we'll sort of lighten it up, or go lighter with the brush. I think it's okay to have some lighter areas here at the front, sort of light that goes through the canopies of the tree, light spots. Is this a good color? Maybe a little bit. I think maybe something like this for the ship. We probably want the ship to be a little bit darker compared to the background. And we definitely want sort of the tree vertical variances in value. I think I really need to darken this up. So I'm not sure if we can do all of them today. This is really quick work. I don't need to be afraid. I can always get rid of this layer if I want to later. But it's just to see whether I like it with a bit of value to it. Yes, let's make this a little bit brighter. Go. Just be really rough with it. And way there we go. And now we can make this darker as well. It's probably not dark, too dark, but just a little bit darker than this. Something like this. Maybe even a tiny bit darker. And then we can this for the tree. And this is just all trees and needs some variation, but I got a phone call, so that's my cue to end the stream. Thank you for watching, and I will continue these, and on Wednesday we will finish the rough sketches and paintings, and on Friday hopefully we can finish a painting. Thank you for watching. Bye.